All right. All right, folks. Good evening, and thank you so much for joining this webinar today on a long weekend, so to speak. Today our session is going to be about getting ready for Project Cortex and SharePoint syntax, right? I mean, off late, this is one of that topic which has created a lot of buzz among the SharePoint community and a lot of SharePoint practitioners. So if you look at the product in itself, around last Ignite is when we spoke about Project Cortex, and this Ignite we said that hey, we are announcing our very first product in Project Cortex, which is SharePoint Syntax, right? So myself, my name is Vignesh Ganeshan, and I work as a modern workplace technical specialist at Microsoft. And followed by me, I have my colleague, my co-speaker Vijay Anand Ramalingam, who's a modern workplace technical architect, and he's also a Microsoft MVP. And we also have one more new speaker joining us. She's Maithili Ranganathan, and she works as a SharePoint consultant. Right. So the flow that we are going to follow today is I'm going to basically walk you through some slides to help you folks understand, what is Project Cortex all about, and what is the problem that we are trying to solve with Project Cortex, and and what is SharePoint syntax, how it works, and once again, what is the problem that we are trying to solve with SharePoint syntax. And then Vijay is going to show you a cool demo of how SharePoint syntax works, and if at all you're interested in adopting this solution for your customers or for your own SharePoint system, so how you want to go about that. And then we also have Maithili, who will be who will be talking about a wonderful use case about, how you can use SharePoint syntax in your environment. So that's the flow that we are going to follow for today. So let's get started. All right. So to begin with, so this year, 2020, so a lot has happened, a lot of unpleasant things, so to speak, right? But still, from Microsoft, we are committed to our mission to empower every person and every organization on the planet to achieve more. So with that, we are coming to you with the Project Cortex, which still, it's aligned to our commitment in empowering you folks as SharePoint users, or if you have been interacting with SharePoint in some form or fashion. Maybe you could be a SharePoint admin, maybe you could be a SharePoint developer, or maybe you could just be an end user for SharePoint. No matter in whatever form or shape you're integrating with SharePoint, so we have something for you today. And as we go through our session today, I'm pretty sure that you'll be having a lot of questions around how to use this and how do I build this particular functionality. So please have all those questions coming in the chat. So my co-speakers Vijay and Maithili would be answering them. And of course, towards the end of the session, also we'll be taking some questions. So if you have any any specific questions, please hold on to that, and we'll try to take those questions towards the end as well. Okay. All right. So what is the problem to begin with? So what is Project Cortex in itself, right? So it is a thought process that we came up with about how you can connect people with knowledge, experts, and insights, right? So anybody who has done SharePoint for quite some time, we all understand the concept of knowledge management, right? And to be very frank, I mean, if you look at it, not the knowledge management capability that we have in SharePoint was not really compelling for various reasons. People were like, find the exact information that I'm looking at, right? Or maybe a lot of this tagging has to be done manually, right? There was no proper resilience system, so to speak, for a knowledge management. Even though SharePoint has been the one which has been empowering this for quite some time, a lot of the work for you to build a compelling knowledge management solution was always manual. You need to sit and do a lot of work, which would really kill a lot of your time, right? So Project Cortex comes up, it's built on top of content services. It helps you to do knowledge discovery. With knowledge discovery, it also helps you to find the expertise and answers, and of course workplace insights. So we'll try to understand how Project Cortex and SharePoint syntax links to these four pillars in our session today. Now, here are some stats. Once again, this is not a stats that we are throwing from Microsoft, right? So if you can see down, it is Forrester research. So what basically the research says is, so any organization, the amount of time or the amount of money that they spend on content classification and curation is close to $1.2 million to 3.2 $3.3 million. That's a massive amount of money. And when it comes to the search discovery, search is one thing which we constantly want to keep improving. A lot of the investments in SharePoint, as I see, if I see in my customers environment, I see a lot of investment going into sort of making their search experience much better. And that's the kind of amount which any organization is trying to spend, and reduce legacy tools and professional services, and that is the kind of money. So if you take numbers, those are not really small numbers. So of course, you're paying for SharePoint, you're paying for the SharePoint license on top of it. A lot of these capabilities comes out of the box, but still, you as a user, you have to go ahead and you have to spend so much of money to get these things done, right? And these are some problems which a lot of our customers have been telling to us, right? So a few among them is disconnected silos across LOBs and legacy systems. So what we mean by this is not all your content is staying within the context of SharePoint, right? That could be in some external LOB system which is used for your HR solutions, right? And that could be something else which you're using for finance, which is totally running isolated. It has nothing to do with SharePoint, right? And then you have, as I was saying, a lot of this labor intensive work which has to go on. I mean, from the context of SharePoint, you can think of every time a document is getting uploaded, you want that to be tagged to a particular tax, right? And maybe you want to have taxonomy, maybe you want to have some sort of sensitivity labels. A lot of this work is sort of manual, and most of the time it becomes error prone also, because when people are constantly doing it, it's quite a human behavior that at some time you sort of miss the error rate and it goes for a toss, right? And managing and applying metadata and taxonomies, as I was starting about, that is also a problem which you there. And the compliance record is the retention management, right? Because when it comes to SharePoint, uh, the very good way to do EMS or DMS or say for instance knowledge management is you do not want your content to always live in SharePoint, right? Things such which is not really meant to be there in the system, you can come up with retention about after, if the content is old after so and so years, I want to sort of make it, it has to go to archive folder, things of that sort which you want. While SharePoint really had all these capabilities, a lot of these things had to be done manually, right? And today with the with the introduction of SharePoint syntax, these are the three things that it can do. One is content understanding, next is content processing, and the last is content governance. So what we mean by content understanding is, what if the AI which is in the system is smart enough to understand the content? When I say smart enough to understand the content, what I mean is you are uploading a document and it is resume. And what if SharePoint as a system itself can identify that document is a resume and it can tag it, right? Maybe you're uploading a service agreement, and rather than you going and tagging it as a service agreement, what if SharePoint in itself is smart enough to go ahead and do it, right? So this is what we mean by content understanding. Of course, it goes with a lot of training wherein you need to train it, but when you're seeing it in action, you'll understand how easy it is. We have a very good demo planned on it. And next, you also have content processing, right? Of course, the content went inside. So how could you process the extract the information that you want, right? Because I really do not want to open a document, go through the contents in the document and extract the information that I want, right? Of course, any news system or any if you're talking about AI and all, AI is really meant to make your life simple, not complex, right? Which means you want to really stop the time that is spent on opening a document and extracting the information. So that's what we mean by content processing. And last but not least, even the content governance. So that is where the compliance, records management, and retention comes into picture. Wherein, after a certain amount of time, what if with the power of AI, it automatically understands that this document has to have this sort of a sensitivity label. It has this. I'm putting it as a sensitivity label, and it should automatically go to retention after so and so time. Maybe a logic could be like any document which hasn't seen any modification for more than 5 years, it should go to the archive location. Or any document which has been more than 10 years in the system, I want it to be deleted because I don't see a reason for that to be anywhere. And it varies from organizations to organizations, right? For a BFSI customer, it's different. For a manufacturing customer, it's different. For a healthcare customer, it's different, right? Not all the organizations have the same sort of mindset, and because that is because due to the regulations which they follow, right? But what if you can train your AI to do all these things, because because a lot of these things which we are looking at today was for years and years we were sitting and doing it manually. Okay, so with that, as I was talking about, so your project Cortex does three things. It's helping you to connect people to knowledge. This first particular pillar called as connecting people to knowledge, wherein you have a topic card and a lot of those things, that is yet to come. At this point in time, that product is still in private preview. We are using it internally within Microsoft. It's not generally available yet. There are still some companies who are in private preview, some of our customers who are trying it, but that is not yet generally available. So we are not going to spend our time talking about the knowledge experience, the topic card, and the other things and all. Maybe we can do a session later on what is coming next in Project Cortex, and in that point in time, we can sort of double click into each one of those topics and understand it. So today we'll be spending a lot of our time on content processing and content compliance. So this particular two boxes of content processing and content compliance, this is powered using SharePoint Syntax, and SharePoint Syntax is the one which offers you these capabilities. And of course, Project Cortex, if you look at the entire product in itself, it's built on top of Microsoft Graph AI and content services. Okay. And if let me, this is a wonderful video which I want you folks to see. Let me try to reshare my screen. I'll just give me 1 minute. I'm gonna go to my device settings. Let me try to put it to the system so that you guys can. Okay. And I'll try to stop sharing. Share again. Include computer audio. Okay, I believe there is something wrong with my settings. That's fine. I'll go ahead with the content because let me share my screen again. Yeah. So this is a video which we have, which sort of helps you understand SharePoint syntax a bit easy. I believe you won't be hearing the audio. It doesn't make any sense, but later when I'm sharing the slide with you folks can see it for yourself, right? So with that, as I said, the very first product that we have in the Project Cortex family is Microsoft SharePoint Syntax. This went generally available on October 1st. And as I said, last Ignite is when we spoke about Project Cortex. And since then, there has been a lot of work happening from the engineering team. And a lot of our customers were a part of our private preview, wherein we've been trying piloting this product with them. And now it's generally available for anybody to go and use. Okay. So SharePoint syntax. So as I was saying, so it does three things predominantly. So one is content understanding, content processing, and content compliance, right? And if you basically look at how it does it, we are sort of leveraging the investment that we made on Azure Cognitive Services, right? Because typically how these things were done is, I mean, if at all you want to have these sort of capabilities built into your SharePoint system, you need to sort of invest on Azure Cognitive Services and Azure machine learning algorithm, and then sort of train your models, use cognitive services, and only then it's possible for you to build a robust system of this sort, right? But today we are already offering you the platform. Your job is to just make use of it so that SharePoint can do the content understanding, content processing, and content compliance for yourself, right? As I said, we have a very good demo planned on it. So rather than me sort of double clicking into each one of these and helping you folks understand what it is, it will be really good when you see it in the demo. And just to understand, right, since we spoke about a lot of AI here, right? So if you want to see how traditionally AI was done, and the new set of AI models that we are using, so basically the ones that we are using in SharePoint syntax, right? So back then we used to have the black box AI. So what this simply means is for you to build a good AI model, you need to come up with large content set, right? I mean, when I say large content set, this could be GBs and GBs of documents, and then then the learning model understands it, and then it creates its own model, and then it starts applying the tags. Now the problem with this is, of course, you are fetching in a huge amount of data to train the model, and here if there is any error, it takes at least let's say 2 months or 3 months, or even you spend 1 month training the system. And within for that 1 month, there is no human interaction. So which means if the model understands something wrongly, the result is also going to be wrong. So there is no way you could intervene and correct that. This was a problem which we had in the on the previous AI model. And today, whatever we are following in SharePoint syntax, which we call as machine teaching, is it's all simple models that you use. Now, say for instance, for the system to understand a resume document, maybe you'll be hardly fetching 5 or 10 documents. That's it, so that the system understands, okay, anything of this sort is a resume. I'm not going to be flooding the system with GBs and GBs of document just for it to understand that, okay, any document of this type is a resume, right? And here the user, I mean the expert or the end user, he comes in well in advance, so that if there is any human intervention required, he can do it well. And you really do not have to wait for a lot of time and then AI identifies something wrongly and then you need to go and correct it. So that's not really the case here. So this is sort of a comparison about how things were done before and what is the methodology that we are following today in SharePoint syntax. So better together, as we all know, so people plus AI, and a lot of these capabilities today that we are seeing, this is something which you might already be known. And so these are some investments that we made in Power Platform, the AI builder, and of course the object detection. These are the capabilities that we have in our Azure Cognitive Services. And document understanding, this is something that we have built into SharePoint syntax. So when we are showing you the demo, this would make a lot more sense to you. And so, as I said, document understanding, to put it in very simple words, you train the model so that it understands that a document of this sort is a service agreement or resume. And then from that point in time, any document of that sort which gets uploaded to the library, it understands that, okay, this a document, it'll look for the certain attributes based upon the way you trained it. And then it automatically puts a tag saying that, hey, this is the resume. Hey, this is a service agreement or something of this sort. This is an invoice, right? And then we have something called as form processing. This is the investment that we have made on AI builder, wherein in the forms you can sort of look at, you can tag the contents and it will automatically just extract the information that you want and it will give it to you. So you don't really need to open the document and go through all those details to get the information that you're looking at, right? So these are the two things today which SharePoint syntax can offer to you. And in addition to that, you also have the content compliance that I was speaking about. So those are basically the investments that we have made on MIP, and it is sort of leveraging the same capabilities here. And document libraries, as we all know, so there has been a lot of investment happening in this area. By far, out of all the solutions that I've seen, you can compare us with Dropbox, G Shoot, and I've seen a lot of other customers using different other solutions. I've seen customers coming up with Confluence. So I haven't seen any solution which can support 320 plus file types. So SharePoint is the only system out there which can support 320 plus file types. And if you look at the responsiveness, we support any form factor, be it your laptop or be it your mobile, the responsiveness remains the same. You do not have that clutter which you used to see in the previous world of SharePoint, right? Then you have the sync file capabilities. And I believe a lot of these things that you have seen in document library is pretty much evident to everyone. And we were shipping this all these features over the period of, let's say, last 2 to 3 years. I think there has been a lot of improvement in the space of document libraries. And today you could see some improvement from SharePoint syntax space also, wherein which is happening into the document library world. So strengthening the metadata, of course, we all know metadata plays a very huge role when it comes to the KMS, because a lot of this tagging has to happen. And even when it comes to the search, right? Sometimes you see an information, maybe after 10 days back, you sort of start wondering whether it was a SharePoint document, or did I see it in an email, or did I see it in Yammer, or did I see it in Teams, right? You know that you saw it somewhere, but you're not really sure, right? So today, with the power of Microsoft Search, you could just trigger a keyword, and no matter wherever that information it is, it's going to bring that information and it's going to surface it for you, right? So these are also we are also leveraging certain element of Microsoft Search for SharePoint syntax also. And if you've seen the logical architecture of Project Cortex, right? So let me keep the slide. Let me keep it here for a minute. I think there is a problem with the PPT. Okay, let me keep it here for a minute. So this is the logical architecture of Project Cortex. If you take a look at this, your end users are here. they are either interacting to a SharePoint site, or they are in Teams, or they are in Yammer, or they are in their Outlook or Office.com, right? And then this is powered with Microsoft Search. And as I was saying, right, no matter wherever they are, they trigger a search keyword and they get the information that they are looking at. And how this is done is, so this is where the end user discovered connection. So the topic card, topic pages, and topic center, this is yet to come. This capability of Project Cortex, it's still in preview. It is still being worked upon. It is still yet to be a GA. Maybe we are talking about sometime later this year or early next year, you'll start seeing this features being rolling out. At this point in time, we just have the content center. And if you take a look at this, it basically leverages the Microsoft Graph connectors. So the point that I'm trying to make here is, when it comes to search, it is just not the information that is sitting within SharePoint that is being surfaced and shown to you, right? Sometimes due to whatever reasons, what happens is maybe your information is sitting in an IBM FileNet server somewhere. Maybe your information is sitting in a file share somewhere. And for whatever reason, you do not want to migrate that to SharePoint. You want that environment to be it should be distant, but you want the you want the results from that to be surfaced within SharePoint, right? For that, you could use your Microsoft Search Graph connectors. And today, using that, it is possible. And Project Cortex sort of leverages all the search connector elements. It brings in Microsoft Search, and for a user here, it'll bring it'll bring in the results from wherever he is. And if at all you this is something new to you, this is what you can build using Microsoft Graph Data connectors. So your users could be searching in SharePoint, they could be using Cortex or Bing, or even the window today, even the Windows search is powered using your Microsoft Search, the search bar that you see in your Windows search, right? And of course, all the contents which is sitting within your Office 365 or Microsoft 365 environment is going to show up. And if any information lives out of your Office 365 ecosystem, even that is possible using your Microsoft Graph connectors. You can pull that information and you can surface that, right? And then we also have 130 plus graph connectors. Now, say for instance, if at all you have a system which maybe you're using Confluence, right? And you want that an information from Confluence to come and be up in the SharePoint search result, we already have a graph connector built for it. Please go ahead and use it. And for whatever system, maybe you're running a very old legacy system, right? And there are no connectors available for that, no problem at all. You can go ahead and build your own connector. Right, so these are some capabilities that we offer, and this is the case with any of our product, right? So, and the only thing which we need to be mindful of here is today you have Microsoft Search, which is going to make a lot of these things possible for you. Now, SharePoint Syntax Compliance integration. So this is the third piece that I was talking about. We spoke about content processing, document understanding. Then we spoke about form processing. And the last piece here is we have the SharePoint Syntax Compliance integration. So basically, it leverages today you have the retention label. So if anybody has played around with the Security and Compliance Center, if you have been playing around with Microsoft Information Protection, which was earlier called as Azure Information Protection, right? We are leveraging the features and capabilities which we have today. And SharePoint Syntax, using the AI model, it is smart. It will be even smart enough to tag a document and apply a particular sensitivity label to that. Maybe a document of sort, maybe it could be a service agreement, right? Maybe it can tag it as this is confidential, or maybe a document, or maybe we can apply retention labels to it, saying that this document, based on the content it has in I'm applying this retention label, which means after this has to be retained for 7 years, this has to be retained for 10 years, and so on. Okay. And the content compliance story, as I was talking about. So this is specifically for people who have been working on the security and compliance space for quite some time. We are basically leveraging the investments that we have made on the Microsoft Information Protection and then the information governance. And today you also have the advanced audit, because a lot of the time when I work with customers, they come up with a use case that, hey, I want to retain the audit logs for more than a year, right? And today you have advanced audit for that. This is something which comes with, if at all you have Microsoft 365 E5 license, it's possible. And you can also purchase that as an add-on. I've seen this ask coming from a lot of BFSI customers, from a lot of manufacturing, wherein due to their regulatory reasons, they want to keep the users the audit logs for, let's say 2 years or 3 years or whatever. So today that is possible using your advanced audit also. And at the end, with the goodness of all these things that I spoke about, right? What really happens is discovering your content, processing your content, and governing your content becomes much, much better. Because for years for us when it comes to our SharePoint professionals, right? This is what was really, really bothering us for a very long time. Discovering it, processing it, and governing it, because there was a lot of work which has to go into that, and architects or developers or admins would literally sit and bang their heads about how to get things done. But today, with the power of SharePoint syntax, all this is going to be possible. So I've done a good amount of talking, walking you through a lot of slides. So now it's time to jump into a demo and understand the beauty of SharePoint syntax. So with that, I'll hand it over to Vijay. Vijay, over to you.
Sure. Vignesh, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. So thanks, Vignesh, for providing all the inputs. So in today's demo, right, we will be seeing all these things. I've just noted down now what are the things that we will be looking into it. Okay, so the first thing is the license part, syntax license, SharePoint syntax license, and how we can assign that license to users, and what is the initial setup that you need to do it, right? And then after that, once this initial setup has been done, then we will see one by one, like content center or a classifier, extractor, explanation types, how to apply a model, and how you can apply the retention label also. Okay, so one by one, I'll just give you an explanation about what is that exactly, and then we will get into a demo kind of thing. Okay, so it is completely focused on document understanding. I think like Vignesh was mentioning two things. One is the document understanding, and the other one is the form processing, AI form processing. Okay, AI form processing, anyhow, it is a part of a Power Apps which was already introduced like few months before. Okay, so we are not going to discuss much about that. Mainly, we are going to focus on the document understanding. Right. So what do you mean? What is the difference, or what do you mean by document understanding? Right. So like Vignesh also mentioned that. So it uses make use of AI models to create the models to classify the documents and extract the information. Okay, so before getting into it, we'll see this first three things, and then we'll get into content center, another part, right? So once in case like if you want to purchase a license, what I have done is like I'm using a syntax trial version which is for 1 month. Okay, so in order to get that, you need to go to the admin center, and then you have something called purchase services. Okay, you go to the purchase services and navigate to the end of the page. You see add-ons. In the add-ons, just search for syntax. Okay, you can see SharePoint syntax trial. So you can make use of this, which is available for 1 month time period. Okay, so that is what I have used it. So you can go and you can see the details and you can purchase this one, which is a trial version. Once you purchase that, then the next step is you need to assign the licenses. Then only they will be able to create the models in order to classify and in order to extract the information from the documents, right? So in order to assign this particular license, you just need to go to the users and see like to whom you need to assign the license. I'll just quickly show you this one. So once you select the user under licenses, you can see like licenses and apps, you can enable this particular thing. SharePoint syntax. Okay, SharePoint syntax, you can enable it and save the changes. Okay, once you purchase, you will be assigning the license in order to create the models and everything. And the next step is setup. Initial setup needs to be done. Okay, for both document understanding as well as the form processing. Okay, so quickly I will show you what setup needs to be done over here. So in the same admin center, you need to go to setup, and under the setup, there will be files and contents section. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you this one. Yeah, sorry, organizational knowledge. Under that, you can see automate content understanding. I already done the setup. That's why it is showing completed. If you have not completed, it will be showing as not started yet. Okay, once you go here, this is the place where you will be doing some initial setup, or in case once the initial setup has been done, in case if you want to modify something, you can come here and you can modify it. Okay, so I already completed it. So I'll just, in case if I need to change something, I can click on manage. And once you click on manage, you can see two things: form processing and document understanding. Okay, I will later tell you what is form processing and what exactly is that. And before that, we'll see about document understanding. So once you click here, document understanding, so when you're doing the initial setup, it will ask to enter the name for the content center. I will tell you what exactly the content center is. Okay, since I have already created it, it is showing me edit and what is a content center address. Okay, so as I mentioned, document understanding is mainly to create the models in order to classify your documents and extract the information from that particular document. Right. So in order to create the models, what Microsoft has done is they have created a SharePoint template, site template, which is called Content Center. Okay, so that is the SharePoint site that you will be using in order to create the models, in order to train the files, train the documents, and to extract the information, creating the extractor classifiers, creating the models, training the documents, putting all your sample files. So that is what everything will happen in that particular SharePoint site. That site template is called Content Center. So when you are initially setting this up, it will ask for the name. It is similar like app catalog, so which we use for generally to upload the solutions, right? So when you are initially setting up the app catalog, it will ask for the default app catalog name and everything. Similarly, here also it will ask for the name. Once it has been created, then in case if you want to modify it, you can come here and modify it. Okay, and also the content center, it is not necessary that you should have only one content center. You can create n number of content center based on the requirement or based on the need or based on the organization. So for example, if it's a big organization, for each department, if you want to have a separate content center, definitely you can have the content centers. I already created this content center. Okay, in case if you want to create a new content center, so you should be a proper SharePoint administrator in order to create that, and you should have appropriate license to create that. Okay, so once you go to the SharePoint admin center, like how you create a regular SharePoint site, similarly you can create a content centers also. Okay, so I have been already in the SharePoint admin center, and you can see here active sites. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new site. Okay, so you can see a team site and communication site, but you need to scroll down and you can see there is something called other options. Okay, I'll just click on the other options. So here you can choose a template, what template you need when you're creating a SharePoint site, right? So here, if you see, there is a new template called Content Center. This is once you purchase the license, purchase the license, then you will be seeing the new template called Content Center. So once you use this template and create a SharePoint site, basically how it looks is, I already have created it. So I'll just go here. So this is how your content center site will look like. This is the home page of the content center. So you can see here certain navigation links over here, libraries, pages, models, training files, site contents. So this is where you will go and create your models, train your files, train your documents, and then apply the models to the document libraries basically. And also just want to give a difference, like a difference between the document understanding and form processing. So document understanding is mainly for unstructured documents. Okay, so here unstructured documents means it can be any letter, it can be a contract documents, it can be any sort of SOWs. Okay, so where there is no proper format, it can be in a different structure basically. That's what it is, unstructured thing. Whereas form processing, it is mainly for the structured one, like a kind of invoice and other things, right? When you talk about unstructured, what does it mean is like you need to have a text, exact text should be available in order to identify and to get the information from that. When we are seeing the demo, I'll explain you what does it exactly mean. Okay, so that is what you need to understand. Document understanding is mainly for unstructured documents, and whatever we are doing here, going to do here, it's all for unstructured documents. Okay, form processing, it's completely different, it's part of Power Apps. I'll just show you from where you can get started with, but yeah, mainly we'll focus on these things. Okay, so this is how you will create a content center. It's basically a SharePoint site, right? So there are few steps involved. Okay, I'll just quickly show what exactly we are going to do. So as of now, what we have done is we have purchased the syntax trial license, okay, and then assign the license to the users. And then initial setup, basically initial setup in the sense you need to create a content center or set up the content center. So that is how we have seen it, right? How to create a new content center, and there is no limit to create a number of content centers. So now all the initial setup has been done. Now what we are going to do is, these are the other things that we are going to do it, right? Document understanding process. Okay, so the first thing that we will be doing is classifying the document, what kind of document it is, what type of document it is, right? And the second thing is extractor. What do you mean by extractor is, extractor is like if you want to extract any particular information from the document. Okay, for example, consider if it is a SOW. Okay, so obviously in the SOW there will be a start date, there will be an end date, or there will be a cost involved, right? So if you want to extract some sort of information out of it, from that particular document, you will be creating the extractor basically. Okay, and then the explanation type will explain that, and applying a model. Once the model has been created, then it can be applied to the SharePoint document libraries. Okay, and also apply a retention label, so you can apply the retention label to the model. So all these things we will be looking into it. So when I talk about a classifier and extractor, right? So extractor, basically we can extract information. It's all, or the other thing is like it's basically a metadata. Okay, when you upload a document in a SharePoint document library, and if the model is already applied, what it will do is it extracts the information and put as a metadata to that particular document. Okay, so whenever you create a classifier, it creates a content type, and the extractor is basically the metadata or columns attached to that particular content type. Okay, so we'll quickly go to this and see how we can create a models. Before creating the models, you need the training files basically, right? So you need to train, once you create a model, you need to train the model and see what kind of files it is, like some sample files. And in the sample files, you should be having some positive documents as well as some negative scenarios also. Okay, so in case this if this is having the specific information, then it doesn't belong to this particular document type. Okay, so I have already downloaded. You can download the documents from here itself. I have downloaded some sample documents from here. I'll quickly show you that one. So these are the training files. So this I have just downloaded from the Microsoft site itself. So what we are going to see is we have a set of change documents, benefits change documents. Okay, so I'll just open this particular document. You will see how this unstructured document is like this. Okay, so this is how it looks like, right? So contract documents or SOW documents, it will have lot of information, but it will not be in a specific like what you called as like a structured way. Like for example, if you take an invoice, we know that at the top right corner it will have a specific date, it will have the number, invoice number, and in the middle portion in the table, or it will have a specific columns, right? But here if you see, it doesn't have any like a kind of exact structure, but it will have content in a different ways. That content can be available within the document anywhere. Okay, so this is the document that we are going to use it as a training files, and from which we are going to classify the document, and we are going to extract some information from this one. Okay, so change notice, and I have few SOW documents also. So what we are going to do is mainly we are going to change to identify the benefits change documents. Okay, and there are for a certain SOW negative. Okay, so what I'm going to upload this document, sample documents in this. So I'll go to the training file. I have already uploaded all the documents. If you see here, benefits change notice, I have created a folder and I have uploaded all these documents here. This is the training files, is basically a document library where you can upload all your sample documents. So I have created a folder and then I have uploaded these documents actually. Okay, once you upload this training sample documents, then the thing is you will be going to create them. We are going to create the model. Okay, so I'll create a new model. I'll just put it as event demo. And when you expand this, so as I mentioned, whenever you're creating a model, basically you're creating a content type. Okay, you can either use the existing content type or you can create a new content type. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use create a new content type, and I've selected the create a new content type, and just I'll click on create. Okay, so the model will get created. Okay, once the model has been created, so if you see it's all like it's not highlighted. See, these are the key actions that we need to do in order to make sure that this model is applied to a document library. Okay, so the first thing is add sample files. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to select the sample files from here. So already in the training files I have uploaded all the documents. So I'll just go to the specific folder and I'll select all the documents and add as a sample files. Okay, so the first action is sample files has been added to this particular model, and you can see here example files for training. All these files have been added. Okay, in case if you want to add it, you can add it or you can remove it. You can remove it. Second step is classify the files and run the training, right? So what we are going to do is we are going to create a classifier. Basically, we are going to see how we can classify our documents, what kind of document it is, right? So for that, you just need to click on this train classifier. So now you can see all the documents that we have added as a sample files will be displayed over here. And also you can see on the right section, you can see the files 1 of 13. So totally 13 files I've uploaded, and you have all these options. So what we are going to do is we are going to tell, so is this file an example of event demo? So basically event demo, like this model, what we are going to do is we are going to classify the documents which are part of benefits change, HR benefits change. Okay, so is this an example of benefit change? Is this particular document is part of this benefit change, right? I will just give tell it as yes. Similarly, I need to give at least minimum for 5 documents. I need to select this particular label. Okay, so is this file an example? Yes. Okay, I'll just give one more yes. Totally, I'll give 5 documents as yes. Okay, and then you can see 0 of 1 required negative example file also. So what I'm going to do is I have some SOW documents. I'm just going to select that. I'm going to tell that is a negative document. Okay, so I'll just select this particular document and I will tell no. Okay, so you can see here. So 1 of 1 require negative example file. So I have just given no. Label by selecting text. So 5 examples we have labeled it. Okay, and then the next thing is one negative file also we enabled. Now what we'll do, we'll train this particular thing. Okay, so basically when you click on train, it will ask for the explanation. What do you mean by explanation is that is how it is going to define what information that you want to extract it, or which is required to classify or extract the information, right? So I'll click on add explanation. I'll just give some phrase text. Okay, so I'll just select phrase list. So basically what I'm going to tell is, like you can see here, okay, we need to identify this particular document, right? In order to identify, we need to define something. Okay, so for that which we need explanation. So what I'm going to do is all these documents are HR benefits change, and all these documents are going to have something like benefits change notice or something like that. Contact or HR benefits change notice. So what I'm going to take, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this particular phrase, and I'm just going to enter it over here because it can be a phrase. So you can see what type it is. It can be a phrase list where words, phrases, numbers, or other characters, and you have a pattern list also in case of numbers, letters, or mobile numbers or something like that. You can use the pattern list. Okay, so I'm just selecting the phrase list and adding the explanation. Okay, and I am just giving the list of phrases. You can give a list of phrases like this. Okay, so I can even give this phrase also. Okay, so this particular document will have this certain things in this one. That is for sure. Okay, so that is what I'm just giving the list of phrases as an explanation, which will help to define or to classify and extract your things, right? So I'll just give only exact capitalization. I'll just give the exact thing and save it. So now if you see, it is training this particular documents basically. Okay, and you can see here it is evaluation is matches all this evaluation. The you can see for each document, if you see, it is matching this. All these documents have a match telling that Contoso HR benefit and this particular what do you call email ID. So it just to train the model, putting all the sample files, whatever we have uploaded, it just to train the model based on the explanation we have given, and then the model has been successful. It has evaluated and it exactly matches all these documents. Okay, so now what we have done is using the sample files, we have just provided some explanation and trained this particular model so that whenever any such kind of documents has been uploaded, it will classify the document type basically. Okay, this document is a part of this particular model. So we have it helps you to classify the documents basically. Okay, so this is one step which we have completed now. So you can see here this classification has been done and the accuracy is also 100%. This is based on the explanations that we provide and how it trains the files basically. So as much explanations you give, your accuracy will be more. Okay, so the next thing is we are now able to classify the documents, what type of document it is. Second step is you need to create the extractors. Okay, extractors means like you can get some information from the particular document. For example, like this sample documents, if you see what we are going to do, we are going to get the name. For example, we are going to get the name, or like we are going to get the. So if you see, this is basically the benefit change, right? How much is the percentage that discount? A discount is there. Okay, and also you can see what from start date. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are just going to, once this upload document is uploaded, we are going to extract this particular information and add it as a metadata to that file. Okay, so I'm just going to take this particular name alone. So in order to get those information, we need to create the extractors. Okay, so I'm just going to create an extractor. So again, extractor, you can use an existing column. Basically, extractor means it's a column. SharePoint, if you compare it with SharePoint, it is going to be a SharePoint column, whereas the classifier, or whereas this model when you're creating, it basically refers to a content type. Okay, so I'm going to create a new thing. Okay, so I'll just give it as uh, employee name. Okay, employee name. I'm just giving display employee name. Just okay, it can be any column name, but I'm just, because I think I have already used the name. So I'll just click on create to create the extractor. Okay, so now what we are going to do is, for each file, what we are going to do, at least label at least 5 examples. You can see here, I need to label at least 5 examples. Train after you have labeled. So first thing is we need to label it, right? So you can see here all these files are displayed over here. On the right side, you can see the number file 1 is displayed. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to label all the names in the documents. So this is what information I need. Okay, so I'll click on next file. So once you click on next file, this label will be saved. I'm going to the second file and again doing the same thing. I'm selecting this particular name and just click on next. So you can see here, this information is going to be retrieved after this model has been applied to a document library. First, we need to have these labels. So third file, and just giving the selecting the name, selecting the label and clicking on next. Okay, and again the next one, here also the same thing. I'm just selecting the name and click on next file. And it's my fifth document because we need at least 5 example files. So I'll just click on next. So now if you see label at least 5 files, this has been the sufficient number of files. It is really not required. You need to label only 5 documents. It's a minimum requirement. Okay, so what I will do, I'll click on this train. And again, as I mentioned, here we will be providing the explanation, okay, to distinguish, like to identify the information to extract. So what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to give the phrase name text. I'll just give the phrase list alone. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to copy this one. So in all the documents, if you see, it is having dear and the name. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to extract this phrase because this is common in all the documents. Okay, so I'm going to extract this particular phrase, just going to give that as an explanation over here. Okay, so here and just click on exact application. Now save, and now it is going to get trained. So what it will happen is the explanation I provided, then dear. So it next to that, the name is there. So you can see here, once the model is trained, you can see a prediction. It exactly gets the information and it is evaluation is matched. So explanation is basically to help the model to identify the exact detail, and so it is getting all the information. So you can see here, it gives the name, exact name over here. So information has been extracted from this particular document. This is how you can create n number of extractors. I'm just only extracting the name, but in case if you want to extract any other information from this document, date or like any percentage or something else from this documents, definitely if you're taking a contract documents, SOW documents, what is the start date, what is the end date, and what is the cost of the project, or who is the PM. Okay, a lot of information, who is the customer, lot of information, whatever you want to extract it, you can create a number of extractors. Basically, extractor means you're creating a column where it will be auto-filled, the information will be auto-filled for that particular column or metadata, or you can consider as a metadata or keyword kind of thing. Okay, so now the thing is, we have created the extractor also, only one extractor we have created, which is the employee name. Okay, and it is also having the 100% accuracy. So similarly, you can create n number of entity extractors. Okay, so the next step, okay, now the model is ready, right? We have used the sample documents to classify it, and also we want to retrieve some information for which we have created the extractors. Now what is the next step? We need to apply this model to the document libraries, right? So what you can do is, here it's the same thing, apply model to libraries. So it will show you all the SharePoint sites and the document libraries. So you can select a document library to which this particular model needs to be applied. So what I will do is, I already have a site in which I have created a document library called syntax demo. So what I will do, I'll select the same library over here. So migration source. So you can see these are the list of libraries that is available in this particular SharePoint site. I'm just going to select syntax demo, and then I'm just going to add. So now what is happening is, I'm publishing this particular model to a document library. So in that document library, what would have happened is, if I go to this document library, this particular content type would have been added. So if I go to the library settings, so when you create a model, basically what is happening, your content type is created. And when you create the extractors, the columns are created, and that columns are added to that particular content type. So all those information, when you apply a model to a library, the content type is added to this particular library. So you can see here, even demo was the model that we created. That content type has been created. That content type has been created for this particular document library. And you can see the columns also, display employee name. So all these things are automatically done. Okay, so once either this is available, what you need to do is, you can upload the documents to this particular document library. So what I will do, I'll upload some sample documents. So what it will do is, it will it will analyze and then it will automatically specify what document type is this, and it will also extract the information from the document and display the names. Okay, so see, you can see we are analyzing a file, one or more of the document will be uploaded. So in case if you are applying the model to a exist like a document library which is having existing documents, yes, what you can do is when you have any existing document and if you want to extract the information for that, classify and extract it, definitely you can do that by just selecting the existing document. You can see something called classify and extract. So when you run this, it will run the AI model and it will be extracting the document type and it will be extracting the info. Yeah, see if you can see here, this document has been classified as an event demo model, and then it has been displayed the name and you can see the confidence score and everything. Okay, so like this you can apply this to the existing documents also, and whenever you are uploading a new documents it will automatically run the model and it will classify and extract the information. Okay, so this is how it works like. So you can apply the models to the document libraries and it will automatically extract the information like this. So for example, I have done it for other things also, change date, employee name. So I have extracted more information like you can see here. Okay, so this is how you can do, this is how you can understand your documents for unstructured documents such as contract documents, or it can be a letters, or it can be SOWs or anything like that. Okay, so quickly I will tell you the second part, form processing. I'm not going to show any demo because it came long back in the Power Apps itself. So what Microsoft has done is like you can bring that particular form processing and show it for you, apply to a document library actually. So in case if you want to process some documents which is there in the SharePoint document library with the help of form processing. So you can see here when you click on this thing, you can see automate. You can see a new option called AI Builder. Under the AI Builder, you can see create a model to process forms. Okay, so this option is available. When you click on it, automatically it is going to take you to the Power Apps AI Builder only. Okay, so in order to display this option, right, so you can restrict this option. So it is really not required that you want to show this particular create a model to process forms option in all the document libraries. You can restrict it. Okay, so how you can restrict it is like you need to go to the admin center. Okay, initially we did a setup right in the admin center, so we just quickly go there. Yeah, so this is the place. When you come to the setup, click on the manage and you have an option for form processing. So here if you see, you can edit this particular thing and you can see here. So whether you want to show this option to all the SharePoint document libraries or only libraries in selected sites or no SharePoint libraries. So this is how you can restrict where this particular option needs to be shown, or in which specific document library you want to highlight this particular option for form processing. Okay, and one more thing, I'll just to quickly show you this one also. This is the last thing I want to show you. So now we created the model, right, for the document understanding. I'll quickly go to this one. So this is the model that we have created. Once you click on this model, you can see all the information over here. You can edit this model anytime, you can create extractors anytime, and in case if you want to add any more additional explanations or additional files to train your documents, definitely you can do all those things. Okay, and also you can see you have an you can see over here libraries with these models. This is the place where you can see where this particular model has been applied to, which all document libraries this model has been applied. And when you do any changes, right, when you create a new extractor, tomorrow there is a need for you to create a new extractor, or you want to add additional files and add few more explanation and train the documents, anything that you do, any changes, and it has already been published or it has been already applied to multiple document libraries, and you want to reflect the changes whatever you have done, so you have an option to sync all, so that whatever changes that you have done, it will be synced to all the libraries where this model has been applied. Okay, and apart from that, yeah, if you go back to the home page, You will have some sort of analytics over here also. So you can see here like a total model percentage, file processes over time. So you have certain analytics over here. And one more last thing that I need to just mention. Okay, so once you create a model where you're able to apply to a document library, and also you can apply a retention label also. In case if you have created the retention label, automatically if you want to apply a retention label for such kind of documents, you have those option also available. So you need to go to the specific model and you have something called model settings. And here, as part of security and compliance, you can see here retention labels. So you can select any of the retention label and you can apply it. So whenever you apply, whenever you upload a document, it will classify, it will extract the information. Also, it will apply the retention labels also. Okay. Yeah. So Vignesh,
Yeah,
that's it from my side
sure,
actually.
sure. All right, so thank you so much, Vijay. So, folks, I believe now you understand. I think it was a very crystal clear demo and explanation about what are the capabilities which SharePoint Syntax can offer. I believe now you're wondering about a use case. Well, we understand what it is, but what is the real use case for it? So, for that, I'll hand it over to Maithili because she's been trying to solve a real use case in her organization, and this is something that she was sort of using. So over to you, Maithili, to help us understand what is the use case that you're trying to show us.
Thanks, Vignesh. Thanks, Vijay, for explaining all the steps in detail. And thanks, everybody, for staying late, actually. The same step, whatever Vijay is explained, right? I'm going to cover those in my demo as well. So, the agenda is like, I'm going to say what problem we had as part of knowledge management in our organization. So, what are the solutions we tried earlier, and how the SharePoint syntax is helping us and as well as the end users. That's what I'm going to cover. And you all know, like, knowledge management, the main pillar is like connecting the people, process, content, and the strategy being used under the knowledge management thing. But like, if you see, like, maximum 80 to 90% of the organization was looking for a solutions, because none of the solutions were meeting their real time needs actually, because all the contents are there, documents are there, people are going and searching the documents, but only 20 to 30% of documents they are able to get it. Rest everything, like, manually they are connecting the person and asking the experts and posting the threads in Yammer like that. They're not able to identify the documents. So this was like one of the core pain of KM team's pain in any organizations. So yeah, SharePoint was solving almost like 50 to 60%, and after that the cognitive services has come. Even that has given some solutions, but still this SharePoint syntax is like AI and machine learning been enabled. It's solving their problem. So that's what we are going to discuss. So if you see, like, a people mainly for any management documents, right? The people are who are the business leaders, who's like supporting the business cases, bringing the business cases, and the experts who is going to implement those documents. For example, HR onboarding process. So whatever the insurance documents. So those kind of documents, right? So there are like two kinds of people will be there who will be like bringing the business cases and the experts. And the next on the knowledge management create, right? So you will know, the steps, right? So they'll create a new knowledge management, identify the knowledge, and they'll collect the informations with others. They will review, then they will publish it, they'll share across, and they will control that access things. So then finally they will solve those problems. Then the content, real content will be like many, but they wanted to like give the exact informations what the user wanted, right? That's where the success lies. And the fourth one is a strategy. What strategy they are following it up? So content retirement. So whatever the record management Vijay and Vignesh talked about, right? So like, if you see this thing, 4 points. SharePoint Project Quotas is giving a solution for us. For the people, they are going to come with topic cards where the people, experts, the documents, files will be like connected together. So easily you can get all those informations. And for the process, this document management, whatever the Vijay was explaining in detail, right? This resolves like a 50% manual work actually. Then the content also, the record management stuff, whatever we are having it, analytics, taxonomy enablement, so many things are SharePoint syntax is providing it. So the main pain points, right? All the KM team had was like, every organization has a search. They'll go and search the document, but it's like a waste of like they'll waste more time on it to get the exact document whatever they wanted. So rather like people going and searching for the document, this SharePoint syntax, this project Cortex mainly, right? They wanted to bring the documents to the users. That's where the success lies actually. Instead of person, people goes and searches for the document will come to them based on their needs. That's the main thing which we are like SharePoint syntax is resolving it. Then like people they don't know whether the document is exist or not. They'll end up with recreating lot of same information again and again. So again, it was like opportunity cost for the business. So let me get into like use cases like, so that's sort of the KM pain points what project SharePoint syntax is going through. So any like for example, like the first for the KM solutions, right? So in our my organizations, what we did is like initially, like SharePoint, we had a content type, and we created a metadata, so which is like organization level metadata. So any content type, for example, if you're creating a document content type, you will have a set of metadata being created, but still the publisher has to upload the document and he has to fill all the metadata. So that's like again involves a manual effort, and of course like after no, don't keep it as a mandatory, keep it as an optional field, and nobody is going to fill the metadata. Finally, we will not be having any metadata to filter the documents. So all the documents will be there in the flat level. So that was the problem we had again. Even though we had a content type, metadata, and the publisher is going to upload and fill the document, as it involved a manual effort, we were like just ignoring those things. So if you see like for the solutions for this solution after the trick, after content type and this metadata, so we tried to implement the Azure Cognitive Services, the text analytics, and OCR. Even there, like even though that gives like a key phrases or something, you will not have a confidential score. You will not have in that. It will give all the key phrases. Again, some publisher moderator has to go and tag those to the document. So that still that pain point we had with Azure Cognitive Services, even text analytics and OCR thing. So the next stage, what are the SharePoint syntax, AI builder and SharePoint syntax came up with, right? So like Vijay explained, if your document is like structured, you will be using the form builder. If your document is an unstructured, you don't have any template been defined, then you will be SharePoint syntax is the right solution. So right solution. So this was like solving it because like as he explained, right? Let me get into the portal. I'm just repeating the same steps, but I'm not going to recreate whatever which I did. So this is the classifier which I did for a use cases. Use cases like the HR document. So HR is having a different kinds of documents, benefits, medical insurance, life insurance, financial assistance, all those kinds of documents. So they will be uploading those documents. Again, they'll go back and update the metadata. Instead of that, here in our case study, we are going to define a model. We are going to define a classifier. The classifier will extract the information and it fills the metadata. So this is like a sample files for which I already told. So we need some couple of sample files to train the model. The next one, you are classifying the documents. For example, you might be having 100, 200 documents, but you can classify the documents. This is HR medical related, benefits related. This is HR's performance management related. So like that, even though it's unstructured, based on some keywords, you can define the categories of the documents. You can classify it. Once you classified it, you will be creating the content type. For example, if it is a business benefits or medical insurance, so you can this steps involves like creating a content type. Already he explained it. And while creating the you'll be creating the content type in this classifier. Next, you'll be adding the metadata in the extractor. So in extractor, while giving the explanations, you are creating the site columns, which is nothing but the metadata to a document. So once everything is ready, you are going to apply the content type and metadata to a document library, which I explained. So in my scenario, this is the classifier which I created for this use case, medical insurance classifier. This is a sample. This is a sample file which I used for a training, like a Cigna, Aetna. So all those like a medical insurance policies and benefits, those things with some other files also. As he said, like at least one negative documents we have to upload, right? So this is all like it's matching to our criteria. One will not be matching it to it. So we have to give the failure scenario as well. And so the classifier, we created a classifier called medical insurance. That's nothing but a content type. Then the extractor, nothing but the two side columns are metadata and creating for the content type, category and the provider. Category is nothing but like the category of the document, and provider who is providing that benefits or reimbursements or whatever. I don't want to repeat it, but the same steps, whatever which I explained. So we'll be labeling it and then we'll be training it. Once these two steps are done, then we can apply this model to a document library. So this model is applied to the document library here. So apply model, you'll be applying your classifier nothing but the content type and the metadata. So you'll be applying to the SharePoint site. So this is the SharePoint site which where like the model been applied. Yeah. So as soon as the model applied, right? So I'll be getting the content type and those two fields, whatever I created, provider and category. As soon as I uploaded the document, it starts pulling the staff member and the provider and category. To like for to extract the informations, already he explained like a pattern or the exact phrase. If you have, you can extract the information. So based on that, these two metadata have been created. And the main thing, this is what the confidentiality score, like whatever the explanations we gave, right? So here, the good thing is SharePoint Syntax is giving a confidence score, which was not there with the text analytics or something. So we know this text is like a 99% this text is like confident. So we can publish this with a document. This is an advantage of that. So like that, like you can create a mini metadata column as much as you wanted. Yeah, thank you. This is the use case, Vignesh. Thanks, Vignesh. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maithili. So I believe, as you folks could see, right, so that was a problem which existed, and now using the power of SharePoint syntax, a lot of these things are getting solved, right? So just a couple of few more informations that we wanted to show in addition to what we've been discussing. So now that we all understand the goodness of SharePoint syntax, now here comes the real fun, right? So if at all you're interested to know what is the licensing for this, so at this point in time, as I said, October 1st, 2020, it went available. This is only available as an add-on for M365 E3 and E5. So unless and until your users are having an E3 and an E5 license, you can't purchase this as an add-on. And I think the pricing for this is, if I'm not wrong, $5 per user per month. Okay. And the real catch here is it doesn't really matter whether you're the person who is creating the model. It doesn't really matter whether you're the person who is uploading documents, or it doesn't really matter whether you're the person who's just consuming whatever information is there. You're just going to the document library and you're viewing the information. No matter whatever you're doing, as long as you're interacting with SharePoint syntax, you need to be licensed. Let me make it very clear. Even if you're consuming it, even if you're uploading it, even if you're training the model, or even if you're just a consumer for the end model, no matter whatever it is, you still need to be licensed, and you have to be. This is an add-on on E3 and E5, right? And what comes along with this license is this. So you get the form processing, this which includes 1 mm AI Builder monthly credits. This is sort of coming. This will be pulled to your tenant. Content connectors, and as I said, it comes with your E3 and E5 only. So if you're running E1 and any other SKUs, then at this point in time, SharePoint syntax is not meant for you. I'm telling, so the keyword there is at this point in time. So I can't speak for the product team. So maybe at a later point in time, things may change. Don't take my word for it because I'm not from the product team here. But this is how it looks like as of now, right? So from a roadmap perspective, SharePoint syntax, as we spoke about, the document understanding, the content center, and the taxonomy, this is something which is already GA, readily available for you to use. We also have a trial for it. Go ahead, spin it up in your demo environment, try to get your hands dirty, and then maybe you can pitch it to your business and see, what is their interest on it, right? And then we later part of this year, we have the knowledge experiences coming into picture, wherein we have topic cards, the knowledge center, wherein there is a lot of goodness coming into it. If possible, we'll try to plan one more session on it, and we can just show you like what are some capabilities coming there, because this is still in the private preview, and I know for my role, I'm not really allowed to talk in detail about something which is on private preview. So early next year, a lot of new capabilities will be shipped in advance to in relation to what you're currently seeing. So we have this in early next year, and top of mind, these are some features that we are planning to ship. Maybe once the slide is made available to you folks, you can go ahead and go through this in detail. Okay, so these are our Project Cortex launch partners. So these are our partners who have been working with us during the private preview. So in the private preview, so basically you work with partners, so they have it running in their environment. They sort of provide you feedbacks. We call this as a tap program. So basically we want to test it out within a customer's environment. So these are some partners who have come on board to test the solution with us. Okay, so SharePoint Syntax resources, as it's generally available now. If at all you're interested in getting started with this, these are some readily available resources for you to use. And in addition to that, we also have the Office hours, which is running for SharePoint Syntax. So just go ahead and Google Project Cortex Office hours, and I believe it's been running from March, if I'm not wrong. So just Google Project Cortex Office hours. It will take you to that site. You can see the previous session recordings as well as the link, and you can also see the invite for the upcoming sessions. A lot of very good information from the product team about what this is all about, some good FAQs, and what is that they are thinking, what is it they are planning to come up with next, how to prep your environment for SharePoint Syntax. A lot of very good information, which I definitely recommend you folks to go spend some time there, and gain some knowledge from there. Okay, and some Ignite sessions. So as you know, in Ignite there was a lot of buzz around Project Cortex. So I think there was any session which spoke about content or SharePoint or Teams. I see a lot of those sessions wherein Project Cortex was being mentioned. So these are some Ignite session URLs. So if you want to go and catch up with some sessions on Ignite, please feel free to go ahead and do that as well. Okay, so with that, thank you so much for your time, folks. We still have 10 more minutes left. So I didn't see any questions coming up in the chat. So to me, that sounds like either you understood everything clearly, or maybe it just flew on top of your head. So no matter whatever it is, now is the time. And if at all you have any specific questions, or of course there will be a lot of questions, because the first time when I saw it, it didn't really make a lot of sense. It took some time for me to understand it. So if there are any questions, put it on the chat, or if you want to unmute and ask your questions, feel free to do that. Thank you so
There is
much for your
one
time,
question,
folks.
Vignesh, when it is available in GCC.
So GCC, I need to check it, folks. Let me go ahead and check that, because as we all know, GCC